The following hour, we have a special guest on stream joining us through voice chat. It's Lucas Schuneman. I hope that I pronounced that correctly. And
you nailed it on the head, my man.
Yes.
Nailed it on the head.
Wonderful. Having a chat together with Simon Viklund, narrative director at 10 Chambers, audio director. Is that correct as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Reluctant audio director.
No one was a director when we made the game.
Okay. Sure.
We're all like...
Yeah. So we're going to play GTFO a little bit in the background now, just to give these guys the stage. Everything is going to be, lowered or muted, and Lucas and Simon is gonna chat. So have at it, boys.
Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? And you can hear Lucas? Can you say something, Lucas?
I will.
Yeah.
I will talk right now. I will talk right now, and I will make sure that people hear me. Hello, truth seekers. Hello, truth listeners.
He's a voice actor, voice talent that I think I worked with for the first time during when we were developing Payday 2, right?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, the first time I got to work with you, I was on fire. I was being lit on fire, and I was screaming, I went to E3, and you guys had a booth set up, and I went and saw you.
Yeah.
And you were like, "You're the best guy who screams on fire I've ever met," and I'm just like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah, I hope you've insured your vocal cords, because that was a horrible. We had. I think in Payday 2 we introduced some flamethrower or incendiary grenades or something like that, and people could catch fire, and we needed people screaming, women and. I was about to say children, but women and men.
Oh, please don't. Save that for the GTFO, man.
No, but so I just went on this. How should I say? Like online marketplace for voice actors and people who need voice actors to find voice actors, and sort of posted a job just saying I need people who are good at screaming and can scream convincingly like they're in pain, and then a lot of people auditioned, and you were definitely one of the best ones. But it was
appreciate that, man.
It was so fun to find out that you were more than a screamer, because not everyone is can do much more than that. And then there are some voice actors who can't scream, like because they only want to do the maybe they're more like brand voices, I guess. They do ads and stuff, and they want to say buy the new Lexus.
Yeah,
they don't want to scream because they'll lose their what's making them money, I guess. But you were fantastic, and then we stayed in contact, and then we worked on some. There was a between you and me, it's sort of a legendary character because we both liked it so much, and I really liked your performance. There was a sleazy Hollywood producer who was supposed to appear in one of the updates to Payday 2, and then I think that character, or maybe the entire storyline,
I think the entire mission got iced. It
was iced, and then eventually we cut it, and then it was a bummer because you did such a great performance.
Yeah.
Do you remember
I had a lot of fun with that. I do. Just sipping brandy, smoking a cigar, talking about the memoirs of what it was like to work with this Hollywood director. This actress didn't know what she was talking about. Have a thing there. Oh, it was fun. Yeah. I think I actually had like a drink in my booth when I was actually recording that. So I was just going like every now and then I would stop, and then you would hear like the clink of ice and on a drink, and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh yeah, that sounds so real. Let's keep that. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
I was bummed when it didn't get in there, but hey, that's the nature of the game.
Yeah. So that was like 10 years ago, and I kept you in the back of my head, and then we were making GTFO, and we wanted a character. Maybe I'm revealing too much behind the curtain, like I'm letting people peek behind the curtain a little bit too much, but the character of Mr. Truth is in a lot of ways like just a vessel for some theories and stuff that we wanted to inject into the game. So he's sort of this is outside of the complex. He's not caught in sort of a prisoner within the complex, but he can comment on things happening inside, and he can have theories, and some of them can be the truth or according to our own idea what the world is like, and then some are maybe red herrings in a way. So it's not a fleshed out character, I'd say, in terms of who he is and where he came from and whatnot. He's sort of, we left it up to you, I guess, to interpret him, but we had some ideas. We'll get into that. I have some questions. But I want to close that off by saying it was really great that you were available again, and we could work together, and you could portray Mr. Truth and bring him to life in GTFO, because he is, I think, next to Schaefer, one of the most prominent characters that gives the players background and exposition and storytelling, because the characters themselves, of course, they're on screen, but they don't say that much, really.
Yeah.
So my first question here is, when and how did you discover that you could make a living from voice acting?
Ooh. Well, making a living is always hard to do. As any kind of artist, content creator, anything like that, you usually have to have another job on the side. So even if you've been in this industry for a long, long time. But as to like when I saw voiceover as a way not to just supplement my income, but become like my job, I actually spent about 5 or 6 years doing it first. And I was still working part-time, 20, 25 hours a week. I had a lot of jobs in the past to go along with voiceover. But about that time in there is when I kind of figured it out. And it wasn't like there was a job that I was like, oh, well, now I can do voiceover completely. Yeah. I still have like teaching on the job, on the side there. I'm a teacher and a private tutor. I teach math and physics and stuff like that. So yeah, imagine Mr. Truth just going out like, all right, now let's solve the Pythagorean theorem, kids. Let's do that. So that'll wake you up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually completing my teacher certification right now. So the hustle doesn't stop. I'm actually hoping to move to the UK. I have a fiance now who's in the UK, and I'm hoping to go over to the UK and teach math and physics over there. So getting closer to 10 chambers.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah.
Not as much time difference if we're doing remote sessions and stuff.
There you go. Perfect.
Lovely. Yeah, I hope that works out. Congratulations on the fiance and everything.
Yes, she went from simp to fiance, so I love it. I love it. It's actually great. Her words, not mine. Her words, not mine.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. So yeah, not a lot of job security in voice acting. Then I assume you're sort
not
of,
as much.
No, because you're always freelancing.
Right, it's a gig economy. It's one of these things that you're always trying to find the next job. I'm on, and honestly, what I tell people who want to get into this stuff is that the auditions are the job.
Yeah,
getting the gig is a bonus. You don't necessarily. I mean, your job is to keep on auditioning. You should be auditioning for only what you're right for. Make sure that you're giving other opportunities to people who need those opportunities to actually get some stuff like that. But that is very, very important that you keep on auditioning, not working, but auditioning. Yeah. And I never tell people that I'm a professional voice actor. I think the word professional is never a tag that you should assign for yourself. It's if other people want to tell me that I'm a professional, then I let them have that. And I think that I'm very gracious, and I try to be very modest about that. If anybody ever wants to think of me as a professional, I always call myself that I'm a working voice actor. I'm out there, I'm working, I'm trying to put in the work, and it's important.
Yeah. You've also given yourself the title of ninja.
Yeah, I way back when I got started. I wanted a thing, and I came up with a name for myself. And I love ninjas. Final Fantasy III is my favorite game of all time when I was growing up. Shadow was my favorite character to be a ninja. Ninjas are always cool to me. Japanese and Chinese culture was always really cool. I minored in Japanese language in college. I spent a year teaching English in China.
Oh, wow.
Asia itself is just very, very, very interesting to me. And so I came up with myself calling myself the voice acting ninja because I wanted to say I do voices that you don't hear coming.
Oh wow, yeah, I remember that when we met at E3.
Yeah,
you had done the screaming thing for Payday. But probably that was probably before we did the recording for the sleazy Hollywood producer.
Oh yeah,
but you gave me your what's the word, business card.
Yep.
And that said,
oh no, he's got a business card. No! Back in the day of business cards, when it wasn't just here's my IMDb, here's my link tree, here's my card.co. What there? Yeah, let's just go there. Yeah, business cards, baby.
Yeah.
Woo! I've been in this industry since I started looking into about 2007 when I started looking into it, and my first job was in 2010. So I've been doing this I've been working for 14 years.
Yeah, and I must say, because I went into to your like IMDb profile the other day in preparation for this, and I was a little bit surprised because I thought, I mean, maybe when someone, because you're really talented within your, the voice acting, so maybe my idea was that you just came fully formed and had been working for forever, but I was a little bit surprised that that it was. I thought you had like a decade at least before we worked together in the industry, but it wasn't that long, really.
No. I actually I got started in my late 20s, early 30s, honestly. Yeah. So it was like at that point, that's when I got started, and it was funny. I came back from, as I said, I worked in China for a whole year, and I came back from China, and I was like, you know what? I honestly, and people around me said it. They said you have a different work ethic. You have a much stronger work ethic right now. And I just was looking into it. Like at the same time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to look into this. That's a job people get paid for. People get paid to do voice work for cartoons and for. I didn't actually look for video games because at that point it wasn't really on my map. But for cartoons and animation and commercials and stuff, people were getting paid for that. And I had worked in radio. For gosh, how long at that point? 7 years. Yeah. I'd put in 7 years in radio, so that's why I have my radio voice. That's why Mr. Truth sounds so authentic.
Yeah.
But I kind of put my time in there, and then I said, let's see what I can do with this. I started talking to other people who were doing the kind of work that I wanted to do. I asked them for recommendations of who I should go talk to, what I should go do. And they started pointing me to some people. Those people pointed me to other people. And eventually I was doing workshops. And then I was, and then I got an audition for a job. It was a big thing.
Lovely. Yeah. How is being a voice actor different from being a live action actor?
It's surprising how similar they are. I mean, like voice actors still emote. We use our bodies in voiceover, even though you never see it. But when it comes to when it comes to video game voiceover, there could be a lot of exertions, a lot of action in the booth that you never see as a player, but are still important. And then like you're throwing your body around when you do like an exertion.
Yeah.
The other big difference is that live action actors have to memorize their lines. Voice actors don't, because the scripts are in front of them.
Yeah.
Also, and I guess having a script in front of us, like the first time voice actors see their scripts, that can be, not for everybody, but for a lot of times, that can be the time that we're recording them. So we record cold.
Yeah. That's
what we call it. We call that a cold read in the business. Yeah. And so for those listening out there, it's basically like when I do anime and ADR work and stuff like that, they tell me, we're going to need you for this session. And they sometimes don't even tell me who I'm voicing or what I'm voicing or how many episodes or what the scripts are. I just get them at that moment and I record them cold. And I just it goes beep, 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 record the line. That's it. So very, very cold. Not a lot of prep work for that. But it's something like video games for like GTFO, you will absolutely hear that going into, and I'll get some prep time to look through those things.
Yeah, yeah. So is that because the anime, is that because of secrecy, or because the localized or translated scripts are not ready in time, or what's the deal?
It's more of the second idea, is that they work on the timing and the script writers go really, really quickly, especially for one of those simulcast dubs that are going out there right now from the animes out there. But also, it's that usually your job, the job of a voice actor in animation and ADR stuff like that, that's not. They kind of trust you as an actor. That's the whole point, is that they have to trust you as an actor to be able to walk in, look at the script, see the scene, maybe get a little bit of a setup, maybe like in Japanese, where you watch the scene in Japanese first and you go, okay, that's the line. All right, cool, let's go. And then you immediately do the line in English, and then maybe we do it again, and maybe a third time, and that's about it. And then we go off to the races, let's go. And then we do the next one, and we do the next one, and we do the next one. So that's just the procedure that goes for. And again, that's just kind of how it works. But sometimes I'll get the voice, but for stuff outside of anime, I'll, like GTFO, I'll get the scripts ahead of time, and then I'll have some time to read it, look into the whole script. You'll give me some directions sometimes, and in the email, and I'll see exactly what I've got, and then we'll look through. And then that's how we can kind of flesh out the character and the read usually. And also, like for me, you and I, and you know this obviously, Simon, but I'll never give you one read. I'm going to give you like 3 or 4 or 5 reads maybe. And I'll go I liked some of these for this one. I liked this one because he got a little bit more emotional. I got this one because he didn't get emotional. Work with whatever you got. Yeah. And so I like to send you a lot of those reads, and then have that stuff. So players out there, there's a lot of State of Truth AM that you've never heard. There's like variations on scripts and stuff like that. So fun stuff. Simon gets to hear it.
Yeah, I listen to all of it, and it's always fantastic. And sometimes it's rare. It's more common with other types of performances, maybe, but you sort of get into the mood of the character so well, so it's hard to do. But sometimes I Frankenstein, different takes if it works somehow. If there's a point in the acting or in the sequence of events in the performance where it makes sense to sort of we can shift to this other take where he's more, I don't know, composed or whatever it might be, After you heard the explosion in the distance, this is a better reaction, and then you can sort of Frankenstein something together. But most of what you recorded for GTFO is very sort of, I wouldn't say it's not long form, but it's not, I need ammo, I need this, I need that, or we need to get to the waypoint. It's not that type of game script. It's monologues. It's like a page or a page and a half, or maybe 2 pages even sometimes of just reading, and not
lore,
reading, but making it sound like a stream of consciousness, really. Yeah, and that's what
bringing people.
So well.
It's bringing. Oh, I appreciate that, and that's what I think. And I do not play GTFO. I wish I could, but I'm a squishy marshmallow man, and I can't handle scary things like this. But as far as I understand it, though, there's a lot of that kind of lore drops that you guys do and this kind of thing, and that's really what is really great about this, is that when I know that I'm recording basically a lore drop for you guys, it allows me to expound on that and really have fun and enjoy reading all that stuff out to you guys. So I really appreciate getting the opportunity to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So you mentioned anime. What are some of the projects you've been involved in throughout your career as a voice actor that you'd like to mention?
Lots of stuff. I would say you can go. My name is. I'll put it in Twitch chat. I know we're streaming on a lot of platforms right now, but if anybody wants to, check me out on IMDb or Google me, feel free to check that all out. My name is Lucas Schuneman. For video games, you've heard me in GTFO and Payday 2, thanks to Simon. You might have heard me in Warframe. I've been working on Warframe voice acting for like 9 years now. They keep on bringing me back. They're great people over there. Warhammer 40K, Clash Royale, the Cooking Mama franchise, one of the first games I ever got to work on as a voice actor. Very fun about that. Wasteland 3, Chivalry 2, many others. I did not expect to do as many. Video games as a voice actor when I first got hired. But yeah. For anime, if anybody out there is a fan of One Piece, yeah, I'm in like 20 episodes and a couple of movies of One Piece. I'm one of the Marines in One Piece. Recently, a fun project of mine, a little passion project of mine, and a lot of others, Katekyo Hitman Reborn, which I got to do some voices in that. Higurashi When They Cry, Gangsta, Shimoneta, and The Legend of Galactic Heroes, among others. And I worked with franchises that have been awesome to be a part of, like Hasbro. I actually got to be canon in Transformers and G.I. Joe. That was like, that, kid Lucas was so happy about that. Lego for their Lego Ultra Agents toy line. Marvel on Marvel Avengers Academy. And Rooster Teeth, R.I.P. Rooster Teeth, on the Ruby franchise and the Death Battle series of internet battle videos out there. So a lot of stuff in there. But yeah, a lot of people, a lot of chat's going a little crazy on that. Yeah, Warframe, Tal Rhaegar, Nefanyo, the Corpus Treasurer, and Ricta School, for those of you that play Warframe. So yeah, I'm getting very excited now, Tenno. Yes, that would be Tal Rhaegar.
So you did. I mean, that's one of the things that's different from a live action actor as well. That you can do 4, 5, 6 different voices for the same project, which would never happen in a live action sort of context, I guess.
Yeah, you get, that's the whole point. And a lot of it just, you have to be kind of a chameleon about the whole thing, is that you're kind of just, you're bouncing around and you're doing a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's and versatility doesn't necessarily get you hired, but it's really cool to be able to come back and do more work like that. And some people ask me like, "Oh, what's my favorite role?" And I'm like, "Well, usually, I mean, my joke is it's whatever I'm getting paid for." Ha 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 ha. But the thing is that I don't get to come back and see a lot of characters over again, and you would know this, Simon. Sometimes you hire people once and then they don't get to come back. They don't get to be recurring characters, unless like Mr. Truth from GTFO actually gets to be that. That's it. So it's fun to be able to return to characters. By the way, I have a quiz question for you, Simon.
Shoot.
Can you get the month? Can you give me the month and the year in which you hired me to do and you hired me to do Mr. Truth?
Oh.
How long have you and I been doing Mr. Truth and GTFO together? How long?
I would think that we recorded the first. It's I guess the year is 2018, maybe.
Oh, not that long. No.
2019.
Not that. It was 2020.
2020.
April 21st, 2020 is when you approached me to do Mr. Truth. Okay. That was actually cool. And fun fact, I've got a little behind the scenes thing here. It was not called State of Truth AM originally.
No, that's true.
It was called something else.
Yeah, Adam Gascoigne, the writer, had a name for the channel or for the radio show, and I don't remember what it was, but I said that sounds off to me somehow, and then I had a suggestion. My suggestion was State of Truth. And Adam liked that, so we both agreed that that's a better name. But what was the old name? Could you give me like the
old name?
Letter?
I'll give you the. It's a 2-word phrase.
Yeah.
And their initials are RR. And the second word is radio. So the second word is radio. So it was R radio.
I still can't. I still don't remember it.
It was called Resistance Radio.
Oh, yeah. Sounds too much like a war, like you're in a war, maybe.
Yeah.
Which maybe
it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not the Resistance, or am I? What's going on?
Yeah. But maybe my reaction was that it was like, I mean, to Mr. Truth, it's a war.
Yeah.
But then maybe I got like an InfoWar There's connotations to it that I don't know. There's some I might have associated it with InfoWars, and it felt a little bit too military, like a military conflict sort of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I'll be Art Bell. I'll be Art Bell, but don't make me be Alex Jones. I don't want to do that. Please don't.
Yeah.
I have a soul.
Okay, so
it's still in there.
What kind of routines? Because you have a silky smooth voice, as I'm sure everyone can in chat can hear. What are your routines to keep your voice healthy and ready for action?
All right, State of Truth listeners, let me tell you something. Regular breaks are important. Make sure that you hydrate. I know you truth seekers out there need to hydrate. Make sure you hydrate. Also, save your tips would be save your hardest, your most emotional, most strenuous reads. If you've got like a bunch of reads like that, you want to save them for the end of the session.
Yeah.
That would also include like death throes. Like whenever I die, I usually start coughing a little bit, involuntarily. Like between takes, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm dying a little bit. Sorry. I do have a secret ingredient to keep my voice healthy.
Yeah.
It is. I'm gonna say it out loud, and it's gonna sound weird, but just stay with me. Ninjum Pepakoa. Ninjum Pepakoa. It is a Chinese/Vietnamese health medicine that's out there. It's like this molasses type of syrup that you can spoon into hot water and make like a tea out of. And in the industry, we have a nickname for this stuff. We call it Hulk juice. The reason that we call it Hulk juice is that way back when, years and years ago, the voice of the Hulk, Fred Tatasciore, was the one who kind of got everybody kind of involved in this stuff. And he would scream as the Hulk. He would go, Hulk smash. He would scream like the Hulk, shred his vocal cords, understandably. Yeah. And then he would need to recover. Well, how would he recover? He would drink this, Ninjum Pepakoa, which is like basically it's a throat coat medicine. And
he had stocks in that company, I assume. Because he made it, he popularized it.
Yeah. He definitely did, especially for voice actors. And it comes in this molasses form, but you can also get it in this like single stick theory thing where it's like a straw that you kind of mix and it kind of melts into the tea, which is really nice. Mm-hmm. You can also get like the little cough drop things where they give you a tin of these cough drops. They're really, really great.
Yeah.
And also, just if anybody gets colds out there and for any reason, like your 10 chambers, you guys know what it is. It's all, you guys are up there where the colds come from. You guys know where it all comes from.
Yeah.
And so if you ever get bad throats from sickness or anything else like that, it's really, really great stuff. Look it up. I'm going to put it in chat just because it's really hard to spell. But anybody out there wants to know it, Google it, order it. It's wonderful stuff. Ninjum Pepakoa. Look it up. You guys might love it.
Okay.
That's my secret ingredient.
Lovely. So have you ever had to learn a new dialect for a job? And how did you go about that?
A few times. Yeah. It's not as crucial as you might think it is for a job as learning an accent or a dialect. Usually you walk into a job knowing the dialect that you're going to have.
Yeah. You might have been cast because you already know it.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole thing is like, why that to cast you and then teach you how to do that dialect or to do that accent after they hire you. You're putting a lot of faith in that actor to be able to hire them originally and then have to teach them or have to coach them through that. Yeah. So usually you walk in knowing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
In movies and TV, you hear more about dialect coaches walking you through a dialect for a certain or an accent for a certain performance. But otherwise, you kind of just have to exercise accents and dialects themselves. I have had to audition for, and I've gotten jobs for, to be Lebanese, to be Panamanian, to be Russian, to be German. And I'll give you another secret tip out there for anybody who wants to do voiceover and stuff like that. If you ever want to know how to, yay, good job, you guys, by the way. Yay, expedition survived, raise the roof. I find that the best instructors out there to teach you how to do, for example, like if you were doing like an English speaking accent, in a certain English speakers with an accent on top of that, I look up TV newscasters. So if I wanted to do a Swedish accent, for example, I would look up, English speaking newscasters in Sweden. That's what I would look up to see if to see how I would perform
get
that.
like a formal,
because I feel,
some sort of
I feel like
what's the
newscasters. Well,
theory?
if you think about it, I'm sure in Sweden, there are regionalisms. There are regional accents for different regions of Sweden.
Yeah.
And if you're a native person, you're going to know certain regions, just like I'm going to know in America if you speak like you're from Georgia, or if you're from California, or if you're from Minnesota, or if you're from Boston, or if you're from New York.
Yeah.
I'm going to know those different kinds of regionalisms, but otherwise you kind of have to learn. And newscasters have to speak in a way that is the most neutral form that speaks to everyone.
Yeah.
So being able to get that regionalism, that's where I go to newscasters for. So that's kind of how I do it.
Yeah. It's clever. So now we get into a little bit more GTFO specific questions.
Yeah.
The inspirations for your character, Mr. Truth, in GTFO, and his radio show State of Truth is Art Bell, which is a real world radio show host, and he was the host of Coast to Coast AM, which also is a radio show about a lot of sort of paranormal, sort of conspiracy theory adjacent stuff. So that's really where the inspiration for both the character and the radio show State of Truth came from. So were you already familiar with Art Bell and and his show before we approached you?
Absolutely. As I said, I worked in radio for a long, long time, and I used to work overnights. And Art Bell, Coast to Coast. Yep, that was the thing. I didn't play it all the time. I think we had it on the weekends at my radio station that I played it on. But I used to work late nights, and I used to put on Art Bell and listen to Art Bell. And he just had such a great voice. And so I remember when you first wrote me, back in April of 2020, and when we were talking about it all, I remember you hit me with it, said you're free to listen to Art Bell if you want to. There are recordings available on YouTube, and I'm like,
dude,
I got them already in my head, my man. And I love the way that you said it, because you told me, and this happens a lot with casting projects as well. For those of you who want to know, they almost never are asking for a one-to-one, like an impression. We might call that a performance match or a voice match. They're not. It's rare for casting people to say we wanted exactly this person, and you didn't ask for that either. You said we don't want an impression of Art Bell. We want your kind of like your take, and that's basically the best thing for voice actors to do, is to kind of like pick it up and go, all right, well, what's my interpretation of Art Bell? It's not an impression, but how would I take that tone and that tempo and that rhythm and that genre, and how do I make it my own? Yeah. And so that was the big thing for me there. So I was a big fan of that, and I was just like breaking out my Art Bell stuff, and also I get to break open my radio voice, which I don't get to open up that too often there, because a lot of times when I get hired for work, I have to make sure that I don't sound like I'm on the radio, because they won't hire me for like commercials and narrations and promos and stuff if I sound like I'm on the radio. Yeah. So they want you to sound like real people.
And you say radio voice, but I guess it's more than just sort of where you position your voice. It's also like a rhythm to it, or a sort of a cadence that is radio.
There is a rhythm and a cadence to radio. I think there is, you're listening to State of Truth AM. There's a certain way of speaking like you're on the radio, and it has this certain way of saying that certain words go up and down and the way that they do it. And there's a rhythm and there is a cadence. You're a music man. You know that, Simon.
Yeah.
So it's like there is that kind of cadence that does kind of associate with radio. And some of it, though, is kind of stereotypical. So you don't necessarily want to fall into that stereotypical candor. So if we do that, it's kind of hokey. It kind of has this like people can tune that out.
Yeah.
But if you talk like a regular person, then there's more of a conversational read to it, and people will more pay attention to that.
Yeah.
That's usually been the thing. Because
Yeah.
if you're, that's why podcasts were, I think, and podcasts, I think, even have the same idea like that. If you think about your typical kind of podcast voice that you'll hear nowadays, because podcasts are kind of replacing radio nowadays. You get that kind of, there is a canter to not even just like all podcasts, obviously, but to certain podcasts that you're trying to have this narration form through.
Mm-hmm.
So like that. So yeah.
Yeah. And you portray the only recurring character in GTFO that is recorded without direction. And that's, I mean, because we direct Eric Bra for Schaefer, but that's a character that's pretty much, he needs a lot of, or who I wouldn't say Eric needs direction. It's just that character is so like there's so
you're
much.
Setting it up. There's a lot of well, here's what's happening in this scene, and here's why this person is saying this.
Yeah, exactly. So whoever could have been cast in a parallel universe for that character would have needed direction as well. But for Mr. Truth, you just sort of captured that character so well. So what I ended up doing is just fully trusting you, sending you the script, and then you just sending back, as you said, 3, 4, 5 different takes of that script, and then letting me choose. And it was always the perfect take was, in my mind, was always, what I would consider the perfect take was always among those 3, 4, 5 takes that you sent over. Sometimes you'd surprise me with an emotion or with an interpretation of the script that was just sort of brought it to life in a different way, which was always amazing. It was always a treat to listen to those different takes. But what would you say? What is your theory on how you managed to dial in that character of Mr. Truth with such precision?
I guess I'm lucky because of my background in radio, and being a storyteller. That's kind of the way that I've always seen myself, is that, I'm a voice actor. I'm here to read the scripts that you give me, but I'm here to tell a story. And, I can do my job, just like everybody else does. And I tell people this all the time. If you love hearing the performances in any kind of video game, cartoon, movie, whatever it is, and you love the actors' performances on that, there are 2 things that you always need to consider that I think a lot of people don't consider. Number 1, good direction. Direction can make the biggest thing on that, though. But also, and this gets less credit, but it needs more credit, good writing. Yeah. The writers are amazing. Adam does an amazing job writing up these scripts. And they actually, when I get them, for everybody out there that's listening, they are written like a screenplay. They are written in a screenplay format, and I get to see an entire screenplay kind of format for what I get to see. So that makes my job so much better. But me capturing the character is just me kind of calling back on my radio show. And also, I know what Mr. Truth wants to do. He wants to, every word he says has to be just understood. He's like, I want to make you understand that Dreyfus Industries is horrible. I want to make you understand that there is something the government is not telling us. You have to listen. You're the only ones out there that are listening to this. If you don't listen, we will all die. Like, he has a purpose.
Yeah.
And so I just always keep that purpose he is. Yeah. And he knows how powerful he is too. That's the one thing I've noticed among the scripts, and the more scripts I got, is that, and maybe that power that he has is, maybe he's self-aggrandized. Maybe he's actually, he thinks he has power, but he doesn't. But he believes himself to have power, and that belief really fuels the way that he reads all of his stuff. And near the end of the scripts that I've been having here in the latest rundowns, you get to see more of his reads and how he is just a regular person. He's a person with a wife and dogs, and he's just a guy out there, and it's really and that makes a difference too. So all of that weighs into it.
Yeah. And those the details you mentioned about him having a wife and a dog, or it's it's not something that you were informed of, or we probably even knew when we created the characters. We sort of made things up as we went along, and just like, what if he has a wife, and sort of winged it a little bit, So you never got like a biography or like a character, like a description of what it was like, So I guess you'd have to, like, my question would be, are if there are aspects to Mr. Truth that you came up with yourself in order to sort of inform your performance, who would, if you were to sum it up, like who is Mr. Truth according to you? You touched on it with the power thing.
Yeah, it's gonna sound weird, but I know where I'm going with this, and it's gonna sound weird, so just stay with me on this. He's me. But stay with me on this. He's not me, obviously. But one of the strongest things you can do as a voice actor is to see part of yourself in the role. You don't have to see yourself as the character. That's not it. But there has to be something. There has to be an aspect either about yourself that either you can put into the performance to make it a solid character, or that you can at least identify with and go, look, I'm not Sauron. I'm not Sauron in Lord of the Rings, but it's like, but I can see where he's coming from. And you'd be like, that's kind of weird. But if you expound on who the character is and you go far back, there has to be something at least that you can at least relate to or identify with as a performer, and to do that. And for me, Mr. Truth is a radio guy, so I identify with him. He's passionate. He is so passionate about everything that he says and he does. That is definite, and I identify the passion with which he speaks. And as a teacher and as an educator, you have to listen to your students and go, look, I recognize that maybe you're having trouble doing something like this, and this is my job. My job is to see where you're coming from, so that way we can have these talks about where you are.
Yeah.
Mr. Truth believes everything that he says. Yeah. I don't know if it's right, but he believes it. Yeah. And so I recognize that he has that belief, and that's got to fuel his performance. If I don't recognize his belief, then part of me is not going to believe it when I read it.
Yeah.
So I have to have
the
that
performance is not going to be authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They say regarding writing, they often say, write what you know.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of what you're saying about the performance here. It's like, act out what you sort of can recognize in yourself, or draw from something that you have, that you feel exists in both the character you're portraying and yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You hit it on the head. Write what you know, live what you know. I often tell, voice actors who are up and coming, like, look, you want to be a voice actor, you want to do this stuff. You're not trying to be a clown. You're not trying to emulate some other voice actor out there whose performance you might like. You're voice acting. You're going to get hired to be a voice actor. You're going to get chosen to be a voice actor to do certain roles because you bring a perspective that is unique to you.
Yeah.
So how do you portray that? It's not because you have some silly, wacky voice. You have to make sure that you are giving, that you are portraying the character in a way that is unique, and your unique aspects of all your life experiences, the people that you've met in your life, the teachers you've had in your life, the friends and family you have, they influence your entire life experiences, and you have to let those experiences influence your performances.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Let's pick a question from chat. Ravenna asks, do you as a voice actor have an image of how the character you're voicing looks like?
Most of the time you do get an image, especially with like video games. But not a lot. More times than not, you don't get a picture.
Yeah, you didn't. You surely didn't for GTFO.
Nope. Because unless there's going to be a point where we meet Mr. Truth, it seems like GTFO we're not going to do that, but who knows, right? I'm like, I'm not speaking for the devs, but I definitely like to see what they look like, and that can influence how I bring them to life. If they're a bigger guy, if they're like taller or they got a gut on them or something like that, I might use that as a way of bringing a certain performance to them. I'm not going to let the way that they look completely shape how I feel about them. But like I've voiced like these big burly mountain men of characters, and so that also kind of changes the posture of how I might read. Yeah. So I might have this posture of like standing up a lot straighter and like, hello there, how are you? I would like to come over here, give me a hug. I haven't seen you in so long, you know, and this big burly mountain man. But if you have this person like who's a scientist who's like hunched over, I might square my shoulders up and bring them up. And then that again affects the physical performance.
And it affects the voice in the way that I might perform them. As I raise my shoulders up and bring my elbows into my body,
you know, things like that. So doing that kind of thing is like the physical characterization of how they are. That makes a big difference. It's not the entire thing, but it is great when you get to see it.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a healthy thing to dive into, but Mr. Truth is a conspiracy theory, like he's into conspiracy theories. Some of them, at least in the world of GTFO, are absolutely true. I won't say which ones, but do you entertain any conspiracy theories of your own?
Lucas? Do I entertain them?
I mean, if you can identify them as conspiracy theories, then maybe it's not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's kind of like if I identify it.
Maybe the
I will
question
say
is,
this: I have.
Do you have theories about the world we live in that you think other people would consider to be conspiracy theories?
I have. You know what? I have one. Because I am a math teacher on the side, I have one solid theory that no one is ever going to be able to tell me otherwise is true or not. I don't care how much evidence you put in front of me. This is definitely truth, and I'm going to tell it to you right now. 75% of the problems that we face in math, 75% of the mistakes we make in math are because of plus and minus signs, and you will never be able to change my mind on that. I have no proof to back it up, but I thoroughly believe it. Thoroughly believe it.
What's wrong with the plus and minus signs?
They mess you up, Charlie. You know, you forget the whole idea of us like, that's a negative. That's a positive. God, my entire work is gone. So the mistakes that we make can all be plus and minuses there, and then we miss it. Oh, I forgot that. Oh, that's a negative. Dang it. Darn it. Things like that. That kind of stuff is definitely I think that would qualify for that. For the most part, though, I don't like to debunk conspiracy theories. I like to patiently, if I get some people who I believe run into, if I get people who come to me with what I feel is a conspiracy. I was literally last time my fiance was in America here. She and I went because she loves pizza, and she loves specifically Little Caesars pizza. Mm-hmm. So we went over to Little Caesars. She got off the plane. We went over to Little Caesars. I got a pizza. I'm waiting for the pizza to come on, and the guy behind the desk, I mentioned the weather. I just mentioned the weather, and he says to me, you know, the government controls the weather. And he was ready to go into a whole thing that he totally believed. And I'm standing there just going like, well, that's interesting. And I just was like, oh, that's cool. Totally didn't believe him, but I was like, that's cool. And then I just was very, very healthily trying to not debunk him, but just try to go like, share some more of these stories on why this would work this way, and why would this be? If that was true, then why would this be? And I let him talk, and he basically just talked himself into a whole thing. But there's that. By the way, GG guys, good job through the expeditions. 30, flat 30. Good job.
Yeah, they've beaten 2 expeditions while we've talked. So the next thing I wanted to do here is we have a script that you've recorded previously that's in the game, and I know there are like I want to do this thing. I didn't tell you beforehand, but you know there are ideas of that when you watch like professional athletes, you know, doing track and field and stuff, that they should have like regular people do it before the professional athletes do it, just so you get to see like how much better they are than the average Joe. So I'm going to do maybe half the first paragraph here, just so that people can hear what it sounds like when an amateur tries to interpret this text. And then Lucas will bring it to life as the real Mr. Truth. If you could, with your lovely voice, Lucas, give me the direction given in the script.
Yes. So we're basically starting off with the interior here. So very much like a screenplay again. It starts off with interior, Mr. Truth's secret bunker. And then the description reads, a paranoid, desperate Mr. Truth fights the rising panic he has that his wife may be an agent of the government sent to destroy him.
And action. Here he comes. Okay.
And action.
I'm not taking this seriously, so I'm trying to. State of Truth AM. I'm not given to paranoia. Rather, I am naturally averse to the narrative driven into our minds by the authorities, using fatuous drivel broadcasts on every screen and every piece of content blasted at us from the moment we open our eyes. They overwhelm the masses with mindless Twitter, and I use the word wisely, obliterating our understanding of truth. They nurture. And okay, let's end it there. You guys hear you're gonna hear a drastic difference when Lucas does this. Go, Lucas.
All right, here we go. State of Truth AM. I am not given to paranoia. Rather, I am naturally averse to the narrative driven into our minds by the authorities, using fatuous drivel broadcast on every screen, in every piece of content blasted at us from the moment we open our eyes. They overwhelm the masses with mindless Twitter, and I use the word wisely, obliterating our understanding of truth. They nurture and promote skepticism to the point of exhaustion until we are so desperate for a simple, digestible truth that we will accept any irrational or absurd theory presented to us if it means we tune out the noise for a few precious moments. But we must be resolute. When an explanation comes to us too easily, we must pause and question it. We must consider what agencies benefit from our spots and weaknesses that can be exploited by bad actors. We must pause before we act and think. I must pause. My weakness has always been that those I chose to let into my inner circle, those very few that I chose to trust, I trust implicitly. I am fully exposed to only a handful of people, but exposed I am. Lately in my personal life, I have had cause to be suspicious of those closest to me. I have entertained doubts about their loyalty, about their motivation, about their intent. There are organizations who would stop at nothing to destroy me, to silence the message. The New World Order has led us to the brink of extinction, and now that I have revealed their crimes, they are at their most dangerous. They will take what's precious to me and corrupt it. I must be ready for that. I must be ready to do what's necessary. But I must pause. State of Truth at pm.me. I'm still here.
End scene. That's giving me chills every time. Giving me chills. That's such a spot on, dialed in performance.
All right, I'm going to do a take two.
That might,
Truth I am. I'm not given the paranoia. Rather, I am naturally averse to the narrative driven. No, Ryan, don't stop.
So that might have been very close to one of the takes that you sent me originally, but it's not necessarily like the one that actually was chosen to be in the game. So I can't recall exactly what it was like how this is different from what you might hear in the game. But I mean, you can all hear how skillful Lucas is with this. He's a working actor.
Working voice actor.
Working
and
voice
again,
actor.
A lot of, and then I'll read that and then I'll go, okay, what could I do differently in a second read? And then I'll go back and I'll do it again in a second read. And maybe I'll tell myself, dial it back in the beginning so that way I have somewhere to go and I can build to something. Or maybe and then I probably think when I read this one, now that I'm looking at it again, maybe I'm thinking like I'm in a cabin or something like that, and Mrs. Truth is literally in the other room with the door closed, and I'm trying to like make something where I'm like, I don't want her to hear me if she thinks that maybe she is out to get me. Yeah, like that. And so like I'm like they have that quiet anger, that quiet fire, like they are out to get me right now. You don't understand this. We are in this together, and it has that kind of like that fire, that kind of thing like that. So
yeah, and
if I don't broadcast this, she won't hear it.
And the thing that it's true what you said. It's a lot of it is in the script, obviously. The wording.
A lot of it is.
Yeah, and it inspires the punctuation, and the pauses and the beats and everything. And I love we just let people peek behind the curtain a little bit about the fact that it says Truth, Mr.
You know
Truth.
What I love about that? Yeah, and you know what I love about that? One, we get to tell people about the script. And the other thing is they get to hear me without the filter that you put on it.
Yeah, that's true. I always add, sort of a humming of some fan in the background or something like that. And the radio sort of interference noise and stuff like that to make it even creepier, to give it that sort of found footage, but it's found audio sort of feel to it. Like I dirty it down a little bit in terms of the audio quality. Because people never find out that it's they don't know when they hear it that it's Mr. Truth's secret bunker. It's just you and me, basically, and Adam who wrote the script. But that informs your performance, and
it
then
does.
people get
as well it should.
Yeah, and people get to sort of interpret it in their own way.
Yeah.
Do we have time for one last question, Victor? So my last question would be for anyone who would like to get into voice acting, what sort of tips would you give?
Well, let's see here. There's a good website you can go to called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. It's literally all one word. iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. D. Bradley Baker, amazing voice actor for decades, put it together. Very well done there. If you're looking to get into audiobook work, you can go check out acx.com. ACX, Audiobook Creation Exchange.com. You can look into being an audiobook narrator over there. You can look into doing that. It's free. You can sign up for that. You can also check out the CCC, which is called the Casting Call Club, and the VAC, which is the Voice Acting Club. These are like small places that if you're looking to dip your toe in and try to get started in this kind of stuff, they're free sites. You can go over there. They have like fan-made and some paid versions of auditions that are out there.
Yeah.
And you can just kind of you can dip your toe in, kind of see exactly what it's like, read a little bit more about it. And always like this, if you want to learn about it from voice actors, if you bring specific questions, specifically about what you want to look for in voiceover, if you bring specific questions, I can give you specific answers. We, as voice actors, can give you specific answers. I always say specific questions yield specific answers. General questions get you general answers. So be specific, and you'll learn a lot more.
Thank you, Lucas. And
thank you, Simon. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, everybody.